Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a fabricator from the Jervis Bay area. This is my 91 GQ Patrol, call it the MIDI. Basically how I got into four-wheel driving is it all sort of started pretty much from when I was a kid. We all used to pack up, get in the car. I think it was like a stock sort of 80 series. And we used to do a big family Fraser trip. I think we did it every year for probably about 8 years. First car was a early 80s first gen Hilux, $500. From then on, it just went like I ended up getting like a bit better Hilux and it went to like an 80 series and then kept going from then to then. And this is sort of the one that I've ended up hanging on to and keeping. Pretty much stock. It had like an ARB bar, like the general sort of stuff. I think like I said, a 31-inch muddies, no lift, and it was just like basically standard. Bought the GQ, especially the short wheelbase, because always in the back of my mind, like I always fancied the mid wheelbase GQs. And then once I figured how they were done, how they were converted, I was just sort of looking for a good donor. But at the time, like it was too hard, you know, to put the money into it. And so I banged it around for a couple of years just as a shorty. But I just went on to the basic, like off the shelf cheap stuff because I hadn't had a car in a couple of years. So I really just wanted to get back out there every like few months or whatever. Like I'd get parts for it. And then it sort of got to the point where I would drive it pretty much to its limits. It sort of gives you the feeling of, is this the right car? I wanted faith in everything that I did. I was going to be safe. Made me mind up like I had to do it. I wanted something that I felt like I could drive anywhere, and I knew there was going to be a point where I'd have to get another car, take it off the road and like just do a full build on it. So I got like a little career to get to work in. Then I just thought like stuff it, I'm just gonna do it. I was living at the parents at the time and like the sheds were all full, so it was outside on the dirt out in front of the shed, and it was just diff swap and suspension swap time. I had a set of long arms for it, and it just seemed overwhelming, like the amount of work that it was going to take to get it from like the short wheelbase to the mid wheelbase. It was just way beyond what I ever thought was involved. All over it with the grinder, cutting all the mounts off, moving the coil towers back. I ended up going triangulated 4-link rear. So like longer lowers on the standard mounts, but like triangulated uppers. Working out where everything's got to go. The shocks were the worst part as well because I couldn't run them at the back. I couldn't run a panhard anymore because I had no room at the back of the chassis. Body mounts had to be swapped to accommodate for the tyres at the back of the body. Had to change all the bar work, cut all the rear quarters, push all the rear guards out, re-tubbed all the back floor. The worst part, I think, was probably the fuel side of things because obviously like the fuel tank sits at the back in a standard spot, and I've moved the diff and everything back 11 inches, so it's like the standard fuel tank had absolutely no chance of getting in there. So I ended up making custom aluminium out of 3mm alloy sheet fuel tank. It's only 60 litres, but it's like the maximum size and space besides either putting one like further up in the middle or whatever. But yeah, that was sort of the worst part, I reckon, was getting all the fuel cell, and as well as that is the brake lines, because obviously the brake lines and everything stopped. So when I moved it all back, nothing matched up, you know, so it was a bit of a nightmare. At one point it looked like it was ready for the scrapyard, and I had that feeling too, you know, like I'm at the point now where I was almost ready just to buy another car. I was just at wit's end with it. If I was to build another one, I would 100% do it almost completely backwards from the start to the finish. It got a bit out of hand for a little while, but yeah, in the end we ended up getting it finished. It's a 100% different car compared to what it was before. I remember the first time I drove it, like it was like I went to the same stuff that I'd driven with the shorty, and like I drove it again, and it was just like I was at the top before I even realised what was happening. Like we mates are at the bottom, ready to watch and make sure everything's working, and I'm already at the top. It was done. It was over. Like it made that much of a difference. I was blown away. This is like ideal. It's ideal wheelbase. It's 105 inches, pretty much bang on in between everything else. The ultimate wheelbase to have. You notice like the rear quarter, it's got absolutely no rear quarter overhang at all. So like you see the approach angle, the departure angle at the back it's ideal. Like with the front, I've tried to bring the front in a lot and make the front tucked in as far as possible. So with steps, you can almost drive up, you clear the front, and then you know that when it's right up on its back, that the rear's not going to get hung up at all. So the way it sits today, as it is, like now it's TD42, so it's still got the factory 5-speed manual. 12mm pump, run a 30-pound boost, it's about 210 horsepower. 680 newtons, I think. I got it tuned the other week. Big top mount intercooler, MPC Viper clutch. The drivetrain's basically GU housings front and rear, twin locked ARB 4.6 centers. It's got 85% reduction gears in the transfer. Suspension wise, it's got like triple external bypass shocks in the front, hydro bumps front and rear. It's got the 2-inch smoothie shocks in the back, remote res. Long arms front and rear, that's got that PSR. Obviously, mid-wheelbase conversion, all the bar work and everything's to suit. Got the high mount winch, everything else to accommodate pretty much is built around to suit like the mid-wheelbase and to make it all work. Like, I'm pretty happy with it, you know what I mean? I've spent enough time and money on it as well and got it pretty much the way I wanted. I just want to get out and enjoy it. Having Geordie, my son, involved as well, it just makes it so much more enjoyable for me. Like, I remember me and the old man when I was young. He'd always have like an old Ford or something he'd be building up, or an old bike. You know what I mean? Like, would always make it work, and he'd always like involve all of us in it and show me, this is how you start it, this is what you do to this, and this is how you do to that. And then from what it was with me and my old man, like, I've obviously wanted to pass it on to him, and a lot of the time, like, it's me, Geordie, and my old man as well. He absolutely loves it. Even something little like the chain comes off his bike, you know, he's straight in here. He wants to know what he needs to use, how to fix it, and he's a bit sort of almost like pedantic about it, like I am. Like, I have to get everything sort of perfect. I think that's a bit like, that's me rubbed off on him as well. Favourite place probably has been Fraser. Took one of my good mates, Jesse, up and met a couple other mates up in Noosa and that. And as I was driving through the island, like, you could just pick out everywhere that we went when we were a kid, and I was very surprised how much I actually remembered. Geordie, my young bloke, he was in the car in the back, and I'm like telling him, I was probably his age when I was with my mum and dad doing it, and then like doing it and reliving the same thing with him, it was just like, it was a real good feeling, you know. And I hope that when he's at the stage that I'm at now, taking his kids around, like, I hope that he does the same thing. What appeals to me the most about four driving, really, it's just like a whole another world that opens up, I think, from building the car up to getting it the way you want it so that you're 100% confident in it, and then going out, doing the tracks, and then progressing like skill levels on the tracks. You build up skills, you meet people, you can go out camping, you set up. It's just endless, really, like where you can go and what you can do.